most popular tends to be the library and the archives, but we also have a research unit that actually utilizes, for instance, census data to produce the research that we then distribute in activities such as this one. We are delighted to have Sonia Collazo here tonight to give us a profile of the Puerto Rican population, both in the United States and in Puerto Rico, I assume using the American Community Survey data from 2008, which is the, if not the latest, one of the most recent ones. Definitely most complete, I would think. Yeah. She works for the Census Bureau, specifically the Housing and Household Economic Statistics Division, and within that division, the Education and Social Stratification branch. You know, the Census Bureau is so huge that you have to compartmentalize a lot of the information that is produced. So Sonia is here tonight to give us this wonderful, up-to-date, or as up-to-date as possible, profile of the Puerto Rican community. This will be the second to last activity in terms of events for the semester. On June 9th, we will have the memorial celebration for our founding director, Mr. Frank Bonilla, who is depicted in this picture back here. He passed earlier this year, and we will be having a commemoration of his life and contribution to the Puerto Rican community in the United States. But we are here tonight to listen to Sonia Collazo give us this wonderful profile of the Puerto Rican population, both in Puerto Rico and in the United States. Sonia.
Good evening, everybody. Like Carlos said, I work for the Census Bureau in the Education and Social Stratification branch. We work with the education and language, voting, computer use data from different surveys. Census Bureau doesn't work just with census, with the decennial census. We work with the American Community Survey. We have the current population survey. We have the SIP, that is a survey, economic survey. And also we have other surveys. We have, oh my God, a bunch of surveys. I'm going to start my presentation. Again, it's a profile of the Puerto Rican population in the United States and Puerto Rico for 2008. To get to the 2008 data, I'm going to do like a brief background, what happened since 1980. And I'm going to show data from 1990 census and 2008 data from American Community Survey. Puerto Ricans are the second largest group in the United States. The first ones are the Mexicans. The Puerto Ricans in the United States are around 4.2 million, and that includes the 50 states and the District of Columbia. And also, they surpass those that live in the island. In the island, it's around 4 million, it's probably less, but by 2008, there were around 4 million. Census data, I'm not going to provide census data because I did this paper a year ago, and we didn't have that data available. But that data I will show later on where you can find that data, the ones that is available. There's still data that is working with them. It's going to take time. We have few researchers that work with the Puerto Rican population, like Sanderfer and Tienda. They said that of all the Hispanic groups, Puerto Ricans are the ones that have lowest labor force participation, highest unemployment rate, highest poverty level, and lowest education. Again, this is 1980. Taking what Sanderfer and Tienda said, we want to know if this condition, Puerto Ricans improve that conditions, and what are the current characteristics of the Puerto Ricans in the United States and Puerto Rico. Also, we're going to see geographic distribution. We're going to use New York because is the main, since the 50s, is the main place where the Puerto Ricans migrate. And we're going to take Florida, because the data is showing there's a lot of changes in Florida with the Puerto Rican population. We use 19 census of population, Census 2000, 2008 American Community Survey, that from now on we're going to refer as ACS, a 2008 Puerto Rico Community Survey, that is PRCS. I'm going to show you, or going to talk a little bit about each of the data sources. Decennial census. Until 2000, we have two forms to collect the data in United States and Puerto Rico. We have the short form. This was, it's like the one that of the 2010 census. There is just a few questions. Age, race, sex. There's few questions. And it's 100% of the population that we're going to give this short form. We have also the long form. The long form is just a sample. It's 1 in 6 households, and have more questions for this sample of the population. Have questions on social and economic characteristics and housing characteristic. Like here we have ancestry, we have income, labor force participation. We have how many rooms have the house, if it has heating, you have telephone. By the way, if anybody have a question or I'm going too fast, just slow me down, and you can interrupt me and ask the question. What is the American Community Survey? ACS is what's going to come to substitute the long form of the census, decennial census. If any of you have knowledge about the last census, we just have 10 questions to the 100% of population. There was no long form. Why? Because since 2005, we're being collecting more data in annually basis to around 3 million households in the entire United States. Yes.
Oh, finish up.
In the United States.
I wanted to ask you, like, concerning the new situation with the birth certificates. A lot of individuals was coming into the island, posing as Puerto Ricans, but they was actually coming from other neighboring communities in the Caribbean as well as South American that was inside of there. So how would the census narrow down on that, or if they could have narrowed down on that?
The thing is, this is a self-questionnaire. You answer what you think you should answer, or who you think you are, and it's no way for us to say, okay, this person is not Puerto Rican. Sorry. There's ways that we have to compare that data with the previous year, but we cannot say this is wrong, this person is lying, because we are not. We just counting the people. Okay. We are getting what the people are giving to us, and unfortunately, we don't have a way to prove or to say, oh, this person that lives in this house is not real Puerto Rican, is from Dominican Republic or is from Cuba. Okay. It's no way. It's no way. That's more legal government things that we cannot do anything about it, unfortunately. Like I said before, is similar to the long form from the decennial census. In fact, this form is longer than the long form. I don't remember exactly how many questions, but you can have access to the questionnaire online. you can see if you have interest to see the questionnaire, you can see it online. But have economic, socio-demographic, and housing information. Like I said before, it's around 3 million addresses per year. Also, we collect data from group quarters. We have sample of jails, of nursing homes, dorms, and we present that data also. The Puerto Rican Community Survey is the same thing that American Community Survey. The difference is because the main language in the island is Spanish. Most of the people answering in Spanish the questionnaire. But the American Community Survey is available in Spanish also for the United States. And also the PRCS have some questions that are the same questions, but the slang or the words are different because we speak different than the rest of the Latin population. And to adjust that to the people in the island can answer it and we can have reliable data, we need to provide them in the language that they know and the way that they know, like the way that they say high school. For us is escuela superior. For the Mexicans is bachillerato. And because of that things, there's some questions that the way that is translated for Puerto Rico is different than the way that is translated for the United States. It's about 36,000 units in every municipio, the 78 municipios. Okay, Puerto Rico. We were annexed to the U.S. in 1898 after the Spanish-American War. We are U.S. citizens, and because of that, we can go back and forward from the island to the United States. And we don't need a passport to go to the island. The first large migration movement started after World War II. And the primary destination was New York metro area. Sanders and Tienda, they mentioned in the book Divided Opportunities that from Census to 1980 Census, the absolute poverty percentage for Puerto Rican in the United States was 35%. This is the highest compared with all the minority groups. Why I mention this? Because we want to see if this change. Is this improved or is still the same or what happened? They point in their book 4 different hypotheses. They said that the reasons or the possible reasons that in 1980 the conditions for the Puerto Rican were worse than the other groups was because they were victims of discrimination. You can say that could be skin color, limited by economic opportunities, lack of job skills or lack of jobs, and because the movement was all to one area, probably there were less jobs and less opportunities for them. They're victimized by underclass behavior. When they say underclass behavior, they refer to receive help from the government, like social services, housing or money. Also, they argue the poverty was tied with the conditions in Puerto Rico. If the conditions in Puerto Rico are bad, they're going to move here, and they're going to be exposed to the other hypotheses. I will start showing some characteristics or some of the Puerto Ricans compared with other groups and with the Puerto Ricans in the United States and Puerto Rico. The first things that I want to show you is the median age of the Puerto Ricans. If you can see, the median age of the Puerto Rican in the United States is lower than the median age in Puerto Rico. When we talk about the median age, is where is the middle of the population. This still the same. Puerto Ricans in United States have a lower median age, but you can see that in 2008 the gap is more compared with 1990 and 2000. Cubans still the ones older, because the migration of the Cubans was at some point higher than the other groups. Median household income. Puerto Ricans in the island still, over the years, still have lower income than any group in the United States. This gap is being lower, is being getting lower, but still, in 2008, the average or the median household income was 18.4, and the average or the average size, household size, is 4 people.
18,000.
18,000 for. Is still lower than in the United States. For the U.S. Puerto Ricans, we still have lower incomes, but that gap is getting lower compared. It's less gap compared with 1990. Right in 2008 was $39,000. The other groups still, we have to take in consideration that, remember, the Mexicans and other groups, their households are bigger, and you can have three people or 4, whatever, working in the household. In Puerto Rico, probably you have just 1 person or 2 persons. That could be one of the reasons, but still, you have salaries lower. The unemployment rate, again, this is not a statistic from the Department of Labor. This is what the people answer. The islanders, when we say islander Puerto Ricans, we refer the ones that live in the island, is higher for both, for U.S. Puerto Ricans and for the islanders Puerto Rican. Is higher than, in this case, we are taking the white non-Hispanic because it's the largest, one of the largest group. But in the tables that I gave it to you, table 1 have the data for all the groups. This unemployment rate for 2008 was lower than in 1990. I don't have the data for 2009, and the data probably for the Department of Labor could be kind of different, but still, it's lower. It's an improvement. Okay. I think the education of the Puerto Ricans. Puerto Ricans in the island has, and the Puerto Ricans in the United States have higher high school diploma, or person that have high school diploma or more, compared with the Mexicans. Cuban, they still the highest, but compared with the Mexican, we have a higher group or higher number of high school diplomas. This been improving over the years, and now 67% of the population have high school diploma or more in the island, and 73% in the United States. When we say bachelor's degree, again, change also. The Puerto Ricans in the islands have more a bachelor's degree. It's been that way over the years. We think that is related with, that's my personal opinion. I think we have access to education, and at least in the culture, you have to go to college to be able to find a job. And there's more, the culture is getting more that you have to go to college, and people are going to college. And there's college, 2 years college, that you can have a bachelor's degree in 2 years, or have a bachelor's degree in 3 years. And in a summary, the economic difficulties that we saw in 1980, Puerto Ricans are getting better in United States and Puerto Rico. The large gap in income and employment is getting narrow, but still there. We're still the group that have less or lower income and higher unemployment rate. Okay. I think that's right. Okay. I'm going to talk now about where we are in the United States, where the Puerto Ricans are. I have data from 1990 and 2008. Again, 1990 is the census data. In 1990, there was around 3.5 million Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico. For 2008, was around 4 million, or 4 million people. When we compare with the Puerto Ricans in the United States, in 1990, there were 2.7 million, around 2.7 million in the United States. And now, or in 2008, is around 4.2 million. That now there's more Puerto Ricans in the United States than in the island. When we see, like I said before, that we're gonna look New York and Florida, it's because New York is the area or the state or the metro area that have more Puerto Ricans in the United States. In fact, the numbers of Puerto Rican between New York and Florida is higher than the rest of the United States. In both, in 1990 and 2008. And in 1990 was almost the half just in New York, metro area. When we see the distribution in a map, that's more easy to see it. We can see that New York is the one that have the more chunky color, because there's where there were more Puerto Ricans. Florida is the second place that were more Puerto Ricans. Wow. But we can see that Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Illinois, California, they have.
That's what I was going to ask. Chicago, right? There's a
yes.
large population.
Yes.
Puerto Ricans in
yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah. But when we see 2008 map, things change. We still have New York as the area with more Puerto Ricans. But Florida is in that same range. They have more than 400,000 people. But we have it different. We have Texas, and we have North Carolina, we have Virginia, Ohio, and Georgia. We have the distribution or the group of Puerto Ricans in states that weren't a point to go to the Puerto Ricans to go. Now there are places that they go. And we can see that Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, they have more people. What is the reason? Could be migration, could be second generations. We don't know that part, but could be any of, also military bases, military bases, military bases, military bases. In the case, when we see just New York, we can see that Kings County, the Bronx, they were the places where the Puerto Ricans. They were the main counties where the Puerto Rican were. But we have Suffolk County, Essex, Passaic, and if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I will keep it doing it. But when we see 2008, yeah, we still have Bronx and Kings County, but we at Queen, and we have other counties close to Passaic and that have more population. Something that I found is Bronx and Queens still the places where the Puerto Ricans are, but the population didn't grow. The population shrank compared with the other places. There's growing in these places, but not in this area. You can see it here. The ones that are darker are the ones that lost population. And you can see, we have Queens. And the ones that grow, you have New York County. Most of the counties in New York lost population.
But the legend is the number, not the change, right?
Yes, it's the change.
It's the change.
Yeah.
So
The change in percent. It's the percent point change. Percent point change. Okay. Florida. In 1990, the Puerto Ricans were in Miami-Dade. Broward and Palm Beach, that was the area that they were concentrated. We have a big concentration in Orange County. I think that's where Orlando is. But when we see 2008, things change. We still have Miami-Dade, but the population in Miami-Dade shrank. There's, they still, because they were there before, they still a big population, but they're losing population too. But we add Osceola, Hillsborough, this is the area where it's Kissimmee, Tampa. You still have Orlando. There's the area that Puerto Ricans are moving.
The I-4 corridor.
Yes.
what?
I-4.
I-4 corridor. It's a highway.
That's, yeah.
It's the big one, right?
Yeah.
Highway,
It's like 95 here.
Yeah.
It's like 95. Yeah, my family lived there. When we see the changes, the percent changed. The ones that are dark are the ones that got more population. And like I said before, you have the counties in the middle that got more or increased the population. But if you see the entire map, besides Miami-Dade, that lost population, and Broward County, everybody else, every other county gained population. Everybody county have more Puerto Ricans, at least around 1 to 2%. Okay, Before getting in the 2008 characteristic of the people in New York and Florida, I want to just a brief comparing the U.S. Puerto Ricans and the Islander Puerto Ricans. Again, we have more Puerto Ricans in the United States. The median household income is higher. The poverty level for the U.S. Puerto Ricans is lower compared with the Puerto Rican in the island. And again, remember the median household income is lower. You're gonna have people with higher poverty levels. High school is higher for U.S. Puerto Ricans, but the Puerto Ricans in the island have a higher percent of bachelor's degree.
Is the poverty income level the same both on the island and as it is in the U.S.? There's a certain level of income.
I think so. I think so. It's the same. It's the federal. Yeah. Yeah, it's the same. We have a 34% of Puerto Ricans in the United States that speak only English, and those that say that speak another language than English, we ask them how well they speak English. 80% of the Puerto Rican in the United States, they said that they speak English very well. Just 19%, and I think that's you expect that because we speak in the island just Spanish, and you use the English for when you need it. Again, income remain low, poverty is higher in the island, more people that have less than high school. That I don't show it here, but there's more people that have less than high school, and more that have bachelor's degree or higher. And the English speaking ability in the island is lower. Okay. This graphic is the one that can show you who is the people that are in the United States, in New York and Florida. When you see how many, when you ask to the people where you born, if just 28% of the people in New York answer that they born in the island, compared with 31% of all the Puerto Ricans in the United States, 32%. When the same question were asked to the Florida, 43% of the people in Florida, they answered that they born in the island. That's the graphic or the data that you can say, well, this is migration. This is probably, you still have people that are migrating, but most of the people, the Puerto Ricans in New York are probably second, third, fourth generations. But those in Florida, the majority, or not the majority, a high percent, they born in the island. Some characteristics compared with the Florida and New York metro area. We are using New York metro area because if not, we're gonna leave other counties that are part of New York. And New York metro area have more information than if we just take New York State. The median household income is higher for those in Florida compared with the total United States Puerto Rican and with the New York. The poverty level are lower in Florida. The unemployment rate is lower in New York. The distribution is the same one for the United States, but we have more males in Florida and more females in New York. Again, that's what happened with the migration. There were more women that migrate after the war. We have 17% of household that female was the main head of the household, and with no husband present, and with children in the United States, compared with the Florida Puerto Ricans that there were just 13%. Puerto Rican in Florida have higher high school and bachelor's degree. And speaking only English, you have more in New York metro area, but when you see the foreign-born graphic, that makes sense because you have more people that in New York that born in the United States than those in Florida. And speaking English ability, you have more the 80% of the population in New York and the United States, the Puerto Ricans in the United States speak English very well. In summary, you can see a new growth of Puerto Ricans in Florida. That could be because of more job opportunities. People are looking for job opportunities. We can see the well-educated Puerto Ricans are migrating to Florida. And there's more households that contain families. In conclusion, the Puerto Rican population looks like they recovered compared with the 1980. They improved the improved conditions in the United States are close to the ones in the island. You can see improvement in both. Still a large difference on employment and income. And Florida is the place where migrating the people right now. Again, I work in the Housing and Household Economic Statistics Division, Education and Social Stratification branch. This is the telephone number for from my branch. I include my email. There's cards in the table. I have more cards if that ones are not enough. Camille Ryan is one of my coworkers, and Kurt Bauman is my boss. You can communicate with any of them. Also, for those that want to have more information about the Puerto Rican population or any other group, race group, we have in the population division that is like the housing and household division. The difference is they are concentrated to more specific other characteristic. You can communicate to the ethnicity and ancestry branch. They are the ones that work more with the Puerto Rican population. And I think they're the experts on the Puerto Rican population. And it's a Puerto Rican in the branch. There's one Puerto Rican in the branch that she can help. There's anybody that doesn't know how to get data for our website? Or everybody knows how to get data from our website? Okay. I'm not gonna use this. I'm gonna go here. Our website is www.census.gov. When you open the page, this is how it looks. To get data from Census or American Community Survey, you can access by the American Fact Finder. You can see it in this side of the page. This third tab says American Community Survey. You click there. It's a improved American Community Survey. Have more tools that they have in the website. They have a tutorial that you can go and check the new things that they have. But in case that you need American Community Survey data, you can click in this link. If you need census data, you can click in the Fact Finder to census.gov.
Can you go back one?
Yes, yes, I can.
Oh, can you explain the difference of the number on the left and the number on the right?
The total
311 and 308?
I really,
Probably 2010
It-
and now.
Is that today?
yes, this one is today. Probably they are adding the birth and the death, and
Yeah, they're probably.
this one, I'm pretty sure is from census
from the
data.
census.
Census data.
Thank
And
you.
again, no, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be place where you're gonna find the same number for the total population of the United States or any country, because depends where you collect that. Depends what day of the year you collect the data. Probably the difference is not gonna be that big, but it's gonna be always a different. Oh, okay, American Fact Finder. In this case that we are using American Community Survey data, you can see that you can get data from Census 2010, American Community Survey, Puerto Rico Community Survey, estimates, other surveys like the economic service. You click in Get Data. And you will have different years or files of data. With the American Community Survey, the last year we started analyzing data for 5 years. We have enough data or data for enough years to have files from 5 years. We have 3 years data and we have 1 year data. You can find all the data. You have different options. You can see maps. That's how they, let me see if my computer wants to work fast. No, it doesn't want to do it faster. Yeah. You can see maps, different maps. There are, these maps, you cannot change them, but you can have data. Also, you can have different tables. You can have the profiles of the population. When I said profiles, means that you have all or the main characteristic of the population, and you can do it by race groups. You can look for the Puerto Ricans, and you can have, here you can see the race groups. This is 2009 data, the one that I'm gonna show. You can select Puerto Ricans, show the results. They want to show up. And you have different characteristics of the population. You can print it or you can download it. And when you download it in Excel. That means that you can take what you don't need, or if you have to make a sum or you have to create a percentage, you can do it. And it's an easy tool. We have other tools like Geographic that we also is accessible. You can have access on the main page, and Geographic is other easy tool. It's so easy. It's an easy tool. It's free, and you can have access of different services that we have.
That you can manipulate.
Yes, you can create tables, you can create maps, you can create graphics, and you don't need to download in Excel and then create the graphic. You just go to the program and create the.
Where do you do that?
It's called Geographic.
Search for it. Yeah, okay.
It's FERRETT. I don't know what is not coming. Data ferret. Did you see it? I don't see it. Okay,
There it
here.
is.
There it is.
And it's web-based program. And you don't need, you can download it. You can download the program and you can install it in your computer. Doesn't take too much memory. It's really small program. Here you can see the information about Data Ferret and all the service that you have. You have economic service. You have American Community Survey, Census. The new census data should be there eventually. And it's a great tool. I use it. I prefer to use it than use SAS. It's so easy that it's better. It's a really easy tool. And you, let me see.
I'm sorry, how do you go to Census,
Uh-huh.
and then you just search for data fair?
I search for Data Ferret, but let me, data tools,
Oh, maybe it's in.
data tools, and you will see it.
Middle of the page.
Yeah, in the middle. On the US West.
Okay, you go to Data Ferret,
Let's see, thank you.
and it's going to give you the option to download the program. You can download the program and have the user, the tutorial, and again, it's really small. It's not going to take a lot of memory in your computer.
And it doesn't take forever to download?
No,
No, okay.
no.
I'm doing it.
Okay, I think I'm pretty much done. If anybody have any questions.
So if one wanted to know, for example, you showed us that the population in New York is
Shrink.
older and
Mhm.
so on, and compared to Florida, would you use Data Ferret then to say, well, how long have the New Yorkers been here compared to the Florida? I mean, I'm wondering, like, if you wanted to know what's the age of the people who are currently coming, is it different? Can you use Data
there's,
Ferret to get that kind of cross,
there-
finer?
Well, there's a variable or a question in American Community Survey that asks you where you lived the year before. That's the question or the variable that you need to use. You need to see of the people that answered 2008 American Community Survey, where they were the year before. And that can tell you
How many are
migration.
new? Yeah.
They can tell you migration. Again, remember that's what the people answer. But that's the question that you need. That's the question, yeah. That's the question that you need to know new migration.
Well, I came in a little bit late, but I want to ask you a question. Although this is a statistical presentation, I want to go into the socio-political, cultural realm, if I may. Before I ask the question or comment, I'd like to just preface by saying that I'm a member of the Independence Party of Puerto Rico,
Okay.
so that people don't get the wrong idea based on the question, two questions
Okay.
that I'm going to be asking. So maybe I'll just ask the questions, and then one is this, that many supporters of statehood, of, the PNP, if you ask them, ¿qué tú eres?, they'll respond, soy puertorriqueño. In other words, if you ask many statehood party people, what are you? They'll say Puerto Rican. I'm not, they won't say I'm American, I'm gringo, I'm Yankee, none of that. I'm Puerto Rican. So that's one question. The other, well, I'd like to get some feedback about this phenomenon. In addition, I was interested in, say, socioeconomic level, but perhaps even language, if any studies have been done, in terms of their ability, say, to speak English by political, statehood, Estado Libre Asociado, independencia.
I'm going to start with the second one. We don't take in account what party you
Yeah,
are.
of course.
The only thing that we work that is political related is with the United States, and is voting, and it's not with the ACS data, it's with the current population survey. That we ask to the persons if they vote and if they affiliate to any party or what party, but we don't take in consideration language. I don't think anybody have studied like that. Probably in Puerto Rico there's somebody that probably tried to do something like that or did something like that, but not here. We don't go there. Or we're not trying to find if the person are any political party or any
Status option.
yes, that's the word that I was looking for. About the identity. This is a questionnaire that you give to the people. You can answer what you think you are. In this moment, I'm not gonna talk about census. I'm gonna talk about my background. My bachelor degree is in political science. The identity as Puerto Rican is not related to the status. I'm Puerto Rican, and I have my status preference, and it doesn't belong one to each other in eyes of some people. But for me, they do, because I'm Puerto Rican. I born in the island. I was raised in the island. I moved 2 years ago, 2 years and a half ago. I have my U.S. citizens. I'm American legally, but I'm not American as who I am. I think that's identity. That's something that we cannot answer that question we don't have way to identify that. It's no way.
I actually have a complaint. Not for you. But I actually do wonder, how do people convey complaints about the way the Census Bureau organizes questions, etc. You made a reference, I'm going to give you an example. You made a reference about, to the colleague here, about how it is you find the age of a person and how recently they arrived, and you mentioned in the ACS you can go and look at the question, where were you a year before? For 40 years, the question at the decennial census, the long form was, where were you 5 years ago?
Yes.
Why change it? We are losing, particularly for those of us who do migration studies, you've destroyed the comparability, not you, Census Bureau, destroyed the comparability that was available to us for 5 decades. So who do we complain to?
Something that people need to understand. We are not the ones that decide what questions are in the questionnaire. We are just those that do the interviews, analyze the data, and be sure that the data is reliable. Some of these questions comes from higher level, Congress, or some of them there's like the Science Foundation that they pay to the government, to the Census Bureau, to have a question that they need for something that they had to prove us that they don't need it just to do, I don't know. They need it for a sample frame, or they need it. We have a new question that started the last year that was, when you answer your attainment question, we ask to the person if you have a bachelor's degree or higher, write what bachelor degree you have. That question is a National Science Foundation question. They need it for the frame, for other research that they are doing, and they are paying for that. To be able to change, add, delete questions in the American Community Survey or any survey, you have to go to the process. I don't know the process, sorry. But we cannot do anything about it. We cannot be involved in that. We're just the ones that collect the data, analyze the data.
But you can share with the bosses that we were complaining.
Oh, yeah. And in daily basis, we have complained. It's that way because you need some stuff and you want to have it there, or you want to have it different way. But the other things, if we do that, we're going to have like a 300 pages American Community Survey. That, unfortunately, that's the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was the 2000 census or 1990, but I think it was 2000. There was a huge polemic in Puerto Rico because of the way that Puerto Ricans answered as to whether they were black or
That was the
and
2000. Yeah.
I sort of like got a sense that it had to do with how the question was asked. So in the press it was a whole big polemic,
Yeah.
but it was narrowed down at some point that it had to do with how the question was. Can you talk about that polemic and what it
Okay.
was?
That's a question for the race and ancestry branch, because they are the ones that work directly with that question, and they're the ones that is. Let me show the contact information. They are the one that can answer that question. I don't want to answer that question because I don't have I don't think if what gonna answer is gonna be there. Yes, I know it was a polemic and was who decide the race groups, the Hispanic groups, is the Office of Management Budget, the OMB. They're the ones that have the definitions and the way that it's going to be answered as the race questions. And still, that polemic still, again, this year was, again, people were calling every day, how I answer? I have called from my family.
I believe the question was left so open-ended that a person could say, ¿Qué quieras a tu eres? What race are you? Soy blanco, soy negro, soy trigueño.
No. Wasn't a writing, was a check box. Was a check box. I don't remember. Let me see if I can find the questionnaire. But it wasn't open. But again, I think the race and ancestry branch are the ones that can answer. Probably they have a research.
Yes, questionnaire?
If I can find it. Okay. This is the questionnaire. The first.
You just had it.
Okay, you have the information. The information is used just in case that there's something missing. They're gonna call to complete and have more reliable data. You want the number 5? Okay.
Number 6.
This is in the American Community Survey, but not
Lower than
Keep going. A little bit, there you go. So-
in the community, in American Community Survey, but in the census was a checkbox. And I think, yeah, for black and white, you have a checkbox. If you have another race, you have a space.
This is.
And we have, because we collect the data. If you type that you have three, I think we collect up to three different races. I'm not sure, 100% sure, but I think there is 3 races. And there's analysis of multi races or just one race. And but again, race is something that is who I think I am. If I think I'm black, I will, or trigueña, I will type trigueña. Or I will say I'm black. I will check the black, or I will check black and trigueña. It's how you think, who you think you are, and how you feel. Yeah, it's perception. It's It's like the English ability question. It's perfect. It's perception.
But you choose
It's
to.
but depending on how you ask the question and how many choices you give or what choices you give, then the options of how the person can identify themselves are narrowed. And I'm not insisting on the question, I'm just like thinking aloud. And I think, as far as I remember the polemic, that was a part of the problem, was how the question was actually posed.
But I think they're the ones that can answer better.
Sure, I do, if I may, I do research on this question. Firstly, the question on race in 2000 was the first time that it was done since 1950.
Mm-hmm.
And it was done because the government at the time had requested that the same questionnaire used in the United States be used in Puerto Rico, intact, including the race question as it is framed in the United States.
Yeah.
Those were part of the.
And was the U.S., the Puerto Rico government that won was the Puerto Rico government that wants the same.
And in fact, those questions are also handled by the planning board in Puerto Rico, which is the one that conducts the census in Puerto Rico.
They are our office there, our main office there. It's like the regional office in Atlanta and New York is the one in Puerto Rico. Any other question?
Not a question right away, but a comment, and that is to thank you. To thank you for the change that the U.S. Census agreed to, at least the management agreed to in the future, about how to take the data related to language and no longer to use the phrase linguistically isolated household.
Yeah.
The complaint side is that instead of that, it's a very, very long title, which is hard to put into a mouth.
It's
hard. But saying that if you answer in certain ways to the question of language spoken at home, that you're linguistically isolated is a problem, because it stigmatizes people who speak another language. It doesn't ask them, do you speak another language, and then describe that they are Spanish speakers or Haitian Creole. And so it's just what you don't do and the implications. And that the fact that you're changed is thanks to your responding to researchers and community advocates.
And
so thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to piggyback something, and of course I want to thank you too, because it's a great presentation.
Thank
you.
But
I want to piggyback something onto what the gentleman said, and another code word or an indication of chauvinism is the concept of acculturation, which to me is almost a synonym to, linguistically isolated, because acculturated to what? If you're very acculturated, say, North American, then maybe you're not much of a Puerto Rican or a Dominican, or whatever. So that, I think, is another issue, and I think I think maybe that came more in vogue now. I don't know. Maybe you have some thoughts on that.
We don't. Well, there's more social researchers that go analyze more the acculturation dilemma, if you can say it that way. And we don't do it because we are not we don't have the social data, if you can say it that way. We have questionnaires data, and we cannot use a big word, acculturation, to decide that this is going on because of that. We cannot do that. I'm sure there's researchers, probably including Census Bureau, that are going deeper in that subject, but we don't do it. It's more social research, and we are more a statistic research.
Question is, I know the Census Bureau pretty much you compile all the statistical information. Who, other than the website, we have access to get any information on the statistics. Does the Bureau present or prepare any of this information to certain agencies or universities? Where does this information usually go to?
Everybody.
Everybody has access pretty much.
That's the reason that you have the American Fact Finder. You have access to that. We receive from everybody, different people from the government, people from the school, that they request data. They request special tabulations, how we call them. This is accessible to everybody. We have to give to the president every certain time. We have a deadline to give to the president all this data. And the congressmen, they have it a certain amount of time. Plus, when we release every single data, we do a press release that is open to every single person in the press and to everybody. And the press can call and can ask questions and can use our data. If they ask something extra, we provide them, because this is public information. This is not that we collected and we keep it in our servers. This is to everybody. To everybody. The only data that we don't release is the personal information, names, address. That's the no. But everything else is available for everybody. It's available for everybody and everybody that wants. Plus, we do reports every certain amount of time. In our case, in my branch, because we work with education and language, we do reports on language education, voting, for different service. And that's available for everybody, and it's available on the website. The website, you can find every single paper or presentation that everybody in Census Bureau work with, no matter where we present it. And it's public use. Anything else? Any other question? Well, I want to thank everybody. I have a huge group. I love it. It's the first time that I'm presenting English. That was like, but you're a great audience, and I have my card. Anything that you need, or if you want to contact me you have contact to other people in the Census Bureau, you can call me or email me. And in Washington, D.C., 7th floor of the Census Bureau. But thank you, a la orden. And it was a pleasure to be here.
Well, we want to thank Sonia Collazo for a wonderful presentation. Please do avail yourselves of this wonderful tool that is the Census Bureau website.
Yep.
I go to it virtually every day. It's very useful. But it's not perfect. I complain.